Have you ever wondered why some people seem to not need to chase success, yet success still finds them? They are not loud. They do not show off. They do not chase every opportunity that appears in front of them. But over time, they go farther than most people. Meanwhile, there are people who work nonstop, always busy, always trying, yet their lives remain stuck in place. Not because they lack intelligence, not because they lack ambition, but because they lack one single thing: self-discipline. I have learned an important lesson in my life. Success is not something you can chase with excitement. It is something you attract by the standards you live by every day. Discipline is that invisible force of attraction. It is like gravity. You cannot see it, but it determines every movement. If your life is heading off course, chances are the problem is not in your dreams, but in the level of discipline you are willing to maintain when no one is watching. And the real question is not, how do I become successful? The question is, who are you becoming each day through your smallest choices? Because in the end, success is not a reward for the person who wants it the most. It belongs to the person disciplined enough to deserve it. If you look back at your life honestly, you will see something very clearly. Major turning points rarely come from one grand decision. They come from small decisions repeated every day. I used to think I needed a big opportunity, a breakthrough, a leap forward. But then I realized that what I truly needed was not a bigger opportunity, but stronger discipline. Discipline in the way I think. Discipline in how I use my time. Discipline in the things no one sees. You see, many people want to change their results, but they do not want to change their habits. They want higher income, but they do not want to upgrade their value. They want more freedom, but they do not want more responsibility. And that is where the relationship between self-discipline and attracting success becomes clear. Success does not respond to desire. It responds to standards. When you raise your living standards, life is forced to raise your results accordingly. But raising standards is not a bold declaration. It is a repeated action, every day, no exceptions. I still remember a period when I felt like I was walking through fog. I worked hard, but I saw no clear progress. Then I realized the problem was not the intensity of my work, but the consistency of my discipline. I could work 12 hours a day. But if I was not disciplined in learning, in developing my thinking, in keeping promises to myself, then all that effort was just busyness. And busyness is not progress. There is a huge difference between trying and training. Trying depends on emotions. Training depends on discipline. Emotions are unstable. Discipline is sustainable. Today, I will share with you the most important success principles to help you clearly understand why self-discipline is the foundation for attracting success. Not chasing it, not begging for it, but becoming the person who makes it come on its own. Now let us begin with the first principle, something I wish I had understood clearly many years earlier. Principle 1: discipline is the price of the future you want. Imagine you walk into a store and see something you truly desire. A beautiful house, a dream car, a financially free life. You ask the seller, how much does it cost? They do not answer with a number. They answer with one single word: discipline. Every future you desire has a price, and that price is not collected in money first. It is collected in the actions you are willing to repeat every day. I used to think success belonged to people who were luckier, had better conditions, or were born into better circumstances. But then I realized something very simple. Life is not biased. It only responds to the standards you accept for yourself. If you want a better future, you must become a better person. And to become that person, you must pay the price in discipline. Many people tell me, I want to be successful. But when I ask them, are you willing to wake up 1 hour earlier every day to read and develop your thinking? They fall silent. They want the reward, but they do not want to pay the price. The truth is, you are always paying for your future, whether you are aware of it or not. If you choose discipline today, you pay a light price. If you choose procrastination today, you will pay a heavier price in the future. There are two types of pain in this life: the pain of discipline and the pain of regret. The pain of discipline is like exercising. It may be uncomfortable at first. You have to force yourself to get up. You have to overcome laziness. But afterward, you feel proud. You feel stronger. You feel like you are moving forward. The pain of regret, it does not come immediately. It comes slowly, quietly, and it grows heavier over the years. I once ignored discipline during a period of my life. I thought working hard was enough, but I lacked discipline in learning. I lacked discipline in increasing my value, and I paid the price with years of stagnation. I also once ignored this principle and paid with several years of stagnation. When I realized that, I changed one single thing. I decided to work harder on myself than on my job. 8 hours a day I worked to make a living, but at least 1 hour a day I worked to build value. I read books. I listened to lectures. I reflected on how I think. These were not big changes, but they were small disciplines repeated every day. And over time, they created a momentum I had never felt before. Success did not come immediately, but I began to change. I began to think differently. I began to speak differently. I began to see opportunities where I had not seen them before. You see, the relationship between self-discipline and attracting success starts here. When you change your behavior, you change the person. When you change the person, you change what you attract. Success is not accidental. It is a series of correct decisions repeated daily. If today you decide to read 10 more pages, maybe no one notices. If today you decide to save $10 more, maybe no one applauds. If today you decide to say no to a distraction, maybe no one praises you. But those small actions are building a new version of you. And when that version is strong enough, disciplined enough, valuable enough, success will no longer be something you have to chase. It will be attracted. Ask yourself a very simple question. If you continue living exactly as you are now for the next 5 years, where do you think your life will be? Not where your dream will be, not where your desire will be, but where your actual life will be. If the answer worries you, that is not a signal to be afraid. It is a signal to change your standards. Because discipline is not punishment. It is respect for your future. When you choose discipline, you are telling yourself, my future deserves the small sacrifice today. And when you repeat that choice long enough, you will realize something magical. Opportunities begin to appear. Higher quality relationships appear. Confidence increases. Self-belief becomes stronger. Not because of luck. Not because circumstances changed first, but because you changed first. And that is only the beginning, because the next principle will make you rethink how you have viewed success for many years. Principle 2: success is not pursued, it is attracted. Imagine you are chasing a butterfly. The faster you run, the farther it flies away. The harder you try to catch it, the more it avoids you. But if you stop, if you take care of your garden, if you plant the right seeds, water them properly, and patiently wait, the butterfly will come to you on its own. Success is the same way. For many years, I believed I had to chase success. I thought that if I did more, did it faster, did it stronger than others, I would catch it. But I was wrong. Success is not something to be hunted. It is something attracted by the person you become. This is one of the most important success principles I have ever learned, and it completely changed how I view self-discipline. You do not attract success with desire. You do not attract success with temporary excitement. You attract success with value, and that value is built through discipline and daily habits. Think about this. If you become a person with deep knowledge, disciplined in your work, credible in your words, high standards in your actions, what do you think will happen? Opportunities will find you, not because you beg for them, not because you chase them, but because you become a magnet aligned with them. I once observed successful people in many different fields before 2009, entrepreneurs, speakers, investors. I noticed one common point. They did not talk too much about searching for opportunities. They talked about upgrading themselves. They invested in their thinking. They invested in their skills. They invested in their character. And over time, they no longer had to search for success. Success began searching for them. I learned that the marketplace does not pay for your needs. The marketplace pays for the value you bring. You may need money badly, but if your value does not increase, your income cannot increase sustainably. That is why self-discipline is not just a habit, it is a strategy for attracting success. When you are disciplined in reading every day, you increase your knowledge capital. When you are disciplined in practicing skills, you increase real competence. When you are disciplined in keeping your promises, you build credibility. Little by little, you are becoming a higher value version of yourself. And I realized something profound. When your value increases, you do not need to convince life to give you opportunities. Life responds naturally. Just as water always flows to the lowest place, success always flows to where there is corresponding value. Many people say, I want to be rich, but they do not ask themselves, have I become valuable enough to manage that wealth? Many people say, I want to be respected, but they do not ask themselves, have I been disciplined in my words and actions to deserve that respect? Success is not a random gift. It is a response. It responds to the standards you set. It responds to the level of discipline you maintain when no one is watching. It responds to your inner growth. I once made the mistake of focusing too much on external results. I looked at people who had achieved great accomplishments and thought I needed to imitate their surface actions. But I forgot one thing. Results are the consequence of the inner person. When I shifted my focus from how to make more money to how to become more valuable, everything began to change. Income increased. Opportunities opened up. Confidence became stronger, not because I was luckier, but because I was more disciplined. You see, the relationship between self-discipline and attracting success is not linear. It is organic. Discipline, upgrade the person, increase value, attract opportunities, create success. If you skip the first step, the entire chain collapses. Ask yourself, how much time each day are you spending building the person you will become in the next 5 years? Are you disciplined in personal growth, or are you just reacting to circumstances? And if you continue living at your current level of discipline, what do you think you will attract? Because in the end, you do not attract what you want. You attract what you are, and that is only the next step in this journey, because the following principle will help you understand why the smallest disciplines, seemingly insignificant, can create extraordinary results over time. Principle 3, small daily discipline creates compounding power. Imagine you have 2 friends. The first friend reads 10 pages a day. The second friend reads nothing at all. On the first day, there is no clear difference. In the first week, there is still no significant difference. Even after a month passes, you may still not see anything change. But let a year pass. The first friend has read more than 3,000 pages. The second friend has not. The difference now is no longer small. That is the power of small daily discipline. Many people underestimate small actions because they do not see results immediately. They think that if an action does not create a big change today, then it is not worth doing. But success does not work that way. Success is a compounding effect. Just like failure, you do not ruin your life because of one wrong decision. You ruin it because of a series of wrong decisions repeated every day. You do not build a great life because of one outstanding act. You build it with simple disciplines maintained consistently. I used to observe many people before 2009, people who started from almost zero. They had no special advantage. They did not have a perfect starting point. But they had one thing: consistency. They did not wait for inspiration to act. They acted whether inspiration showed up or not. I learned that emotions are a poor leader. Discipline is a reliable leader. If you only work when you feel motivated, you will have very productive days and days of complete stagnation. But if you work with discipline, you will have days of steady progress. And that steadiness, over time, creates a massive advantage. Think about saving money. If you save $5 a day, you may not feel richer after a week. But if you maintain that discipline for 10 years, you do not just accumulate money, you accumulate the habit of financial control. Small discipline builds a new identity. When you read every day, you become a learner. When you train every day, you become a healthy person. When you keep your promises to yourself every day, you become a reliable person. And once identity changes, action is no longer a battle. It becomes a natural rhythm. I used to make the mistake of trying to change everything at once. I set goals that were too big. I wanted to change my entire life within a few weeks. And when I did not see quick results, I got disappointed. But then I realized the problem was not the goal. The problem was the method. Instead of looking for leaps, I started looking for small steps I could sustain long term. 1 extra page a day, 1 important call a day, 1 hour of self-study a day. Those actions do not create a splash, but they create a foundation. And the foundation is what determines how high you can build. Many people want a skyscraper, but they do not want to dig a deep foundation. Small daily discipline is the process of digging that foundation. You may not see the change in 30 days, but in 3 years, you will not recognize yourself. This is what I want you to understand very clearly. The relationship between self-discipline and attracting success does not happen in one explosive moment. It happens in quiet accumulation, like compound interest in finance. A small investment, if maintained long enough, will grow exponentially. Discipline is the same. It is compound interest for character. Every day you stay disciplined, you are making an investment in your future. And over time, it will produce returns not only in money, but in confidence, opportunity, and influence. How long has it been since you did something that truly challenged you? Are you building compound interest for your success, or are you accumulating compound interest on procrastination? Because the truth is, you cannot stand still. Every day you either move forward or you move backward. When you skip a day of discipline, there may be no obvious consequence, but when you skip 365 days, the consequences will be huge. And the most dangerous thing about lacking discipline is not immediate failure, it is slow stagnation. Your life does not collapse in one day. It slips little by little. On the other hand, success does not explode overnight. It grows little by little. I learned that every big change always begins with a very small awakening. Maybe today you cannot change your entire life, but you can change one habit. You can be disciplined in one area. And when you do that long enough, you will start attracting what matches it. Because in the end, life does not respond to intention. It responds to repeated behavior. And that is why the next principle is so important, because it will help you understand how these small disciplines gradually change the very way you see yourself. Principle 4, discipline builds a new identity. Imagine you keep a promise to yourself, not a promise to your family, not a promise to your boss, not a promise to your friends, but a quiet promise you made to yourself on a very ordinary morning. Tomorrow I will wake up earlier. I will read for 30 minutes every day. I will stop procrastinating. When you follow through on that promise, the first thing that changes is not an external result. The first thing that changes is how you see yourself. Discipline does not just create success. Discipline creates identity, and identity determines destiny. I realized something very profound in my journey. Most of our limits do not come from circumstances. They come from the image we have of ourselves. If you believe you are an undisciplined person, you will act that way. If you believe you are someone who gives up easily, you will find reasons to quit. If you believe you are not capable enough, you will not dare to go far. But when you start being disciplined in the smallest things, a quiet change happens. You begin to trust yourself. Self-trust, belief in yourself, is one of the most important assets in the journey of attracting success, and discipline is the only way to build it. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you are sending a message into your subconscious. I am someone who can be trusted. And when that message is repeated enough times, it becomes a new identity. I used to be someone who reacted based on emotions. If I felt excited, I worked very hard. If I was tired, I procrastinated. If I was criticized, I wavered. But then I realized that success cannot be built on an emotional foundation. Emotions change with the weather, discipline does not. When I decided to act based on standards instead of emotions, I started to see a major shift in how I viewed myself. I no longer said I will try, I said I will do it. The difference between those two sentences is not in the words, it is in identity. The person who tries still leaves an escape door. The person who does has decided who they are. You see, the relationship between self-discipline and attracting success is not only an action, it is an inner transformation. When you become disciplined, you no longer need to force yourself to do the right things. The right things become a natural part of you, like a professional athlete. They do not have to fight every day to train. Training is part of them. It is in their identity. When identity changes, the battle ends. Many people tell me they lack willpower. But the truth is, they lack the right identity. They have not decided who they are. You can say you want success, but if deep inside you still see yourself as someone who gives up easily, you will sabotage yourself. Identity always defeats goals. If your goal is wealth, but your identity is someone who is not good at managing money, you will find a way to spend everything you earn. If your goal is health, but your identity is someone who hates exercising, you will return to old habits. That is why small daily discipline has such great power. It does not just change results, it changes the story you tell about yourself. I learned that when I stopped blaming and started taking responsibility, everything around me changed. Not because the world changed first, but because I changed how I saw myself. When you say, I am someone who keeps promises, you will act differently. When you say, I am someone who raises my standards, you will act differently. And when you say, I am disciplined, success will start looking at you differently. Ask yourself one very honest question. If someone observed your life for 30 days, how would they describe you? Disciplined or inconsistent? Focused or easily distracted? Persistent or easily discouraged? Because you do not become who you want to become. You become who you repeat every day. Discipline is how you rewrite that identity. And when identity changes, you no longer have to try to attract success. You become the kind of person success naturally finds. Now let us go a little further, because the next principle will make you face a choice that all of us have to make whether we realize it or not. Principle 5, you always have to choose one of two pains. Imagine you are standing at a fork in the road. The road on the left is named discipline. The road on the right is named regret. What is interesting is you cannot avoid both. Most people think that if they avoid discipline today, they will avoid pain. But the truth is the opposite. When you avoid the pain of discipline, you are only postponing a bigger pain in the future. I have said this many times in my lectures. All of us must endure one of two kinds of pain. The pain of discipline or the pain of regret. The pain of discipline is as light as a feather. The pain of regret is as heavy as a mountain. Discipline can be uncomfortable at first, waking up earlier when you are still sleepy, turning down instant pleasure to focus on long-term goals, spending time learning instead of entertaining yourself. But that is a small price. Regret is different. Regret does not appear immediately. It waits. It accumulates. And one day you look back and ask yourself, what if I had started earlier? What if I had been more persistent? What if I had been more disciplined? I have met many people in middle age who told me that what they regret most is not failure. What they regret most is that they did not try seriously. They did not live up to the standard they could have reached. Failure can teach you, but regret eats at you. And what matters is, the choice between these two pains is made every day, in very small decisions. You choose to hit the snooze button one more time, or you choose to get up. You choose to spend all the money you earned, or you choose to invest in your future. You choose to say tomorrow, or you choose to start today. Those choices may seem insignificant, but they shape the direction of your life. I once fell into the trap of comfort. I told myself I deserved to rest, to take it easier, to slow down. And for a while, that did not cause any obvious consequences. But gradually, I realized I was trading my future for short-term convenience. Today's convenience is always more expensive than you think. Discipline requires you to sacrifice immediate comfort in exchange for long-term results. And that is something not everyone is willing to do. But think carefully. 5 years from now, what do you want to carry on your shoulders? Pride because you held your standards? Or the burden of missed opportunities? The relationship between self-discipline and attracting success is defined most clearly here. When you choose the pain of discipline, you are sending a powerful signal to life that you are serious about your future. And life always responds to that seriousness. You cannot say you want success, but choose the easy road every day. Success respects standards. It does not respect empty words. I learned that every time I felt like I did not want to do the right thing, that was the most important moment to do it. Because in that moment, I was not just completing a task, I was reinforcing my identity. Will you choose to endure the discomfort of discipline today, or the discomfort of regret tomorrow? That is not a question for someone else. That is a question for you. And the interesting thing is, you do not have to be perfect. You just have to be more consistent than yesterday. One right choice today. One disciplined decision today. One small action in the right direction today. Over time, those choices create a massive gap between you and your old version. And that is only part of the picture. Because what comes next will take us to a deeper level where you understand that discipline not only protects your future, but also upgrades your value in the eyes of the marketplace and life. Principle 6, work harder on yourself than on your job. Imagine you work 8 hours a day for a company. You complete tasks. You hit targets. You get paid. That is necessary. But the real question is, after those 8 hours, how much have you grown? I once realized something that changed my entire life. If you work hard for a company, you can make a living. But if you work hard on yourself, you can build a fortune. Where is the difference? In the discipline of personal development, many people spend most of their energy meeting external demands, but they spend very little energy upgrading their internal value. They work for money, but they do not work to become more valuable. And the market life does not pay for effort, it pays for value. You can work 12 hours a day, but if your skills do not increase, if your thinking does not expand, if your discipline is not trained, your income will have limits. I used to believe hard work was enough, but I realized that hard work without growth is a loop. You do more, you get more tired, but you do not go farther. When I started spending at least 1 hour a day on self-education, everything changed. I read books about business. I listened to talks about personal development. I thought about how I communicate, how I make decisions. At first, there were no big changes, but gradually I realized I was thinking differently. I asked better questions. I saw opportunities where I used to see only risk. That is the power of discipline value upgrading. You see, the relationship between self-discipline and attracting success is not just about how much you do. It is about how valuable you become. If you raise your skills, opportunities will come to you. If you raise your thinking, your decisions will be more accurate. If you raise your standards, life will respond with matching results. I often ask, how much time are you spending each day enriching your own thinking? If the answer is not much, then that is the starting point. Success is not something you beg for. It is something you deserve. And to deserve it, you must become someone who can create more value than yesterday. Think about a skilled craftsman. As their craftsmanship improves, they do not need to fight for customers. Customers seek them out because they know the value that craftsman brings. You are the same. If you become someone disciplined, knowledgeable, skilled, and credible, you do not need to chase success. You will attract it. I learned that life makes people who are too lazy to think pay with an empty future. But it rewards people who are disciplined in personal development with bigger and bigger opportunities. This is not an empty promise. This is a principle. Higher value, higher reward. More discipline, more reliability. More reliability, more opportunities. You cannot expect life to treat you better when you have not upgraded yourself. And that is why the next principle is extremely important, because it takes us to the root of every change, the standard you accept for yourself. Principle 7. Your standards determine what you allow. Imagine you place a thermometer in a room. It does not create the temperature. It only reflects the temperature that already exists. Life is the same. It does not decide what you deserve. It only reflects the standard you accept. If you accept procrastination, you will receive delayed results. If you accept mediocrity, you will receive average results. If you accept discipline, you will receive matching achievements. A standard is not what you say. A standard is what you tolerate. I have said that life does not get better by luck. It gets better when you get better. And getting better starts with raising your personal standards. You may want to attract success. But if your daily standard is low, you are sending the opposite signal. Discipline is the tool that protects that standard. Think about this. How many times do you allow yourself to sleep in? How many times do you allow yourself to procrastinate? How many times do you allow yourself to break promises to yourself? Every time you allow a small compromise, you are adjusting your standards downward. And when standards go down, life adjusts results accordingly. I used to live at a standard lower than my ability. I knew I could do better. I knew I could be more disciplined. But I tolerated ease, and I got easy results. Only when I decided, enough, did everything change. I raised my standards in how I used my time. I raised my standards in how I spoke to others. I raised my standards in how I treated myself. Not with loud declarations, but with quiet decisions. I stopped allowing myself to procrastinate on important things. I stopped allowing myself to blame circumstances. I stopped allowing negative thoughts to control my actions. And gradually, life responded. You see, the relationship between self-discipline and attracting success is here. Discipline helps you hold your standards even when emotions want to lower them. Emotions say, taking a break today is fine. Discipline says, your standard is higher than that. Emotions say, this is too hard. Discipline says, you committed. Emotions say, no one is watching. Discipline says, you are watching yourself. Success does not respect people who talk a lot. It respects people who live by their standards every day. This principle is the key. Because if you do not raise your standards, all previous discipline will not last. You do not need to be perfect, but you must be clear. Clear that you do not accept mediocrity. Clear that you do not tolerate self-sabotage. Clear that you value your future more than immediate comfort. Ask yourself a powerful question. Are your current standards enough to attract the success you want? If you want a higher income level, are your work standards matching it yet? If you want greater respect, are your behavior standards high enough yet? If you want a better life, is your thinking standard mature enough yet? You do not attract what you desire. You attract what matches your standards. And when you raise your standards, you change the frequency you send out. Opportunities start noticing you. The right people start showing up. Doors start opening. Not because of magic, but because you changed what you allow. I wish I had understood this 10 years earlier. I wasted a lot of time by accepting less than my true potential. But when I decided I would no longer tolerate the average version of myself, everything began to shift. And that is not the end, because when you raise your standards and hold discipline, you will realize one final thing: discipline is no longer a burden. It becomes the highest expression of self-respect, and that is where we will end this journey. Principle 8, discipline is the highest form of self-respect. Imagine standing in front of the mirror at the end of a long day. No one is there to judge you. No one is there to praise you. No one is there to criticize you. There is only you and yourself. The most important question is not how much money you made today. It is not how much recognition you received today. The question is, do you respect yourself? Discipline, at its deepest level, is not about success. It is about self-respect. When you keep a promise to yourself, you are telling yourself that you are worth that effort. When you refuse to compromise with low standards, you are saying that your future matters. Many people think discipline is force. They see it as punishment. But I see it differently. Discipline is how you take care of yourself. When you are disciplined in learning, you are nourishing your mind. When you are disciplined in managing money, you are protecting your stability. When you are disciplined in taking care of your health, you are respecting your body. So why do so many people see discipline as the enemy? Because it requires you to face the truth. It does not allow you to blame. It does not allow endless delay. It requires you to mature. And maturity is sometimes uncomfortable. But think carefully. If you do not control yourself, who will control you? Circumstances? Emotions? Other people's opinions? The relationship between self-discipline and attracting success reaches its peak here. When you control yourself, you send a powerful message to life that you are mature enough to handle bigger opportunities. Success requires responsibility. Responsibility requires discipline. If you cannot manage your time, how will you manage a bigger business? If you cannot manage small money, how will you manage large money? If you cannot manage your emotions, how will you lead others? Discipline is proof that you are ready. I once realized that when I increased my level of discipline, I did not just change results. I changed the way I walked, the way I spoke, the way I looked people in the eye. Confidence does not come from saying you are good. It comes from knowing you can trust yourself. And that trust is built every day through very small, disciplined actions. You do not need to announce to the world that you are serious. The world will notice when you live differently. Discipline gives weight to your words. Discipline makes your commitments credible. Discipline gives your goals a foundation. When you look back 5 years from now, what will make you most proud will not be lucky moments. It will be the days you did not want to act, but still did. The days you were tired, but still kept your standards. The days no one saw, but you still chose the right action. That is where character is built. And character is what attracts lasting success. I learned that success is not a destination, it is the journey you commit to every day. If you see discipline as the enemy, it will always feel heavy. But if you see discipline as an expression of self-respect, you will welcome it as an ally. Ask yourself one final question. Are you living at a level of discipline that reflects your true value, or are you living below your potential? Life will not raise you higher than the level you are willing to maintain. It will always reflect the standard and discipline you accept. And the beautiful thing is, you can start again today. No need to be perfect, just decide. One small decision to keep a promise. One small decision to raise your standard. One small decision to choose the pain of discipline instead of the pain of regret. Everything great begins with one small decision. Maybe today is that day for you. If you feel that these success principles truly resonate with you, press subscribe to continue this journey with me at Jim Rohn Treasures, where we explore discipline, daily habits, and the principles that help you attract success sustainably. Which principle in this video do you agree with the most? Leave a comment below and share your thoughts. I truly appreciate that you stayed until the end of this video. You and I both have a gift today. Use it wisely.